Hey!
Good evening. It's good to see you
You
again.
too. I know. We've both been so busy. And
The veil
and
is getting thin and us witches are getting busy.
yeah. Oh, that's right. Halloween.
Halloween. Yeah, what
Tis the
we
season.
should do a show just on Halloween. What it is, what it was, what it's becoming.
That would
Whatever.
be good because I know we did some stuff last year, but I can't remember what we talked about, so it's worth repeating anyway.
Oh,
if
we can pull up the episode and check it out.
Yeah, but that would be well worth it. Now, if everybody can find us after my Facebook
Which,
punishment, yeah.
all right. So we're welcoming everybody through YouTube right now until Facebook wants to make friends with us again, if we allow it.
Yeah.
It's a two-way street. And of course we will. And tonight we are, of course, Eyes of Indigo. And I am Margot Ross Sears. And this is Iris Carter, your co-hosts for tonight. And we are coming to you East Coast time, United States. Uh, Time hack was 9:30 p.m. for about an hour. And I'm running through a little bit of basic stuff, allowing people to come in, check in. If you can hear me, if you are new to the show, welcome to the program. If you are regulars, very welcome as well. Please type in the comments, hello, let us know you're here. We love it. It is the easiest way, it's the fastest way for us to know you're there at all. You don't have to comment, we just prefer it. And you can also ask us questions. When we are back on Facebook again, you'll be able to do it from there as well. But all the way through the show, we will be showing stuff as well as talking about stuff. And Iris will narrate what we show for those of you that are catching us in rerun on audio, such as iTunes and Spotify and all of its affiliates. Future listeners, welcome to the program. we we talk about weird stuff in a rational way. And that's the theme of where we go and what we do. If you want to find out some history about how are we qualified to talk about this and why, absolutely. We have a whole show that talks about our credentials. It is the prequel. It is the first episode of our show, back on show number 1. Feel free to hit it on YouTube in Iris's channel. You can find all episodes there, including that one. And
I was
tonight,
just looking today.
yeah,
We've got like 58 videos
I knew
on
we
our
were
channel
past.
now.
Yeah, I knew we were a
Yeah.
few past the 1 year mark. So, yay!
Yeah.
So that means we were 1 year and 6 weeks into this project
Adventure. Yeah.
adventure,
Adventure. Yeah.
and we have no idea when or where it might ever end. It might not.
It might
It may go.
not.
It may go and go and go. So,
But
and
that's another reason we want to know people are watching.
that's what
Although,
engages our reality, doesn't
yeah, yeah. But still, we have a good time.
it? Absolutely, we do. Yeah, we go all over the place. Feel free to catch us in reruns. Go back and check past episodes. The topics and so on are in the description. So let's see. Iris, let's see. Tonight's. Tell us some more about tonight's topic and where we're going to deep dive.
Tonight's show is dying to know the options. If we have free will, we always have a choice. Does that mean we choose when and how we die? And this, yeah. And what's interesting is this episode
amazing.
kind
I'm having fun, guys, with my new microphone. Way too much fun. Go ahead, Iris.
Yeah. You just go ahead and play all you want to. But don't let us interrupt you, Mark.
I gave you the face. That's as far as we're going.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
It was a gimme to go there.
Yeah. But the reason the topic came up, I was sharing with Margot that I did a talk for a group of normies.
You mean muggles? No badges?
Yeah.
The sheeple? The
Yeah.
sheeple? I mean,
Well,
we got words for the townies.
yeah.
The townies.
But
Yeah,
it was a presentation in a professional setting, and it was on uh n- not being so stressed out and not taking responsibility for the people that you help. You know
yeah,
that
yeah.
because everybody has a choice, and you have when you recognize and respect the other person's choices, you can't feel bad about the outcomes that happen. And I said, so you always have a choice. And that was something that was a hard lesson for me to learn years ago, because when I heard that, I was like, but no, you don't. And then I started thinking, yes, if somebody's holding a gun to your head, which I used this example in my presentation, I said, if somebody's holding a gun to your head, you got a choice: give them the money or die. But it's still a choice. You might not like either option, but it's a choice. And if you really get creative, you might come up with a third.
7.
So, oh, okay.
We'll talk about that some more. I didn't have a chance to elaborate.
Okay.
They're finding out you actually have 7 choices, basic choices. Some of them are a little preposterous, but they're not impossible. And we'll use your gun scenario to do it.
Okay. All right. But, okay. All right. All right. So, um, and one of the guys in the audience, I said, can you think of any situation where you don't have a choice? And this guy said, dying. And I said, oh, but
Rookie.
you do. I said, oh, but you do have a choice. And he was like, and I said,
Plebe.
okay, if somebody chops your head off, it's not an obvious choice. But what if you made that choice before you came here? And he
Right.
just looked at, and I said, never mind, because I knew I was way overstepping.
You're
Yeah.
getting away.
And so I said, oh, I can talk about this on our show.
Yes, sister.
So that's where we are. Yes. And I gotta share this with you. I found this cartoon, and this old man's in a bed, and Death is there with the phone, and he's going, yeah, that's him, keeps insisting on a later checkout time. He's making his choice.
He's making a choice. People assume that when you say you have a choice, that you mean in that moment you have a choice, which is true to a point, but that discounts that you've also made choices already that
Yeah.
precipitated that moment. So there's at least 2 windows of opportunity that includes Iris's choices.
Yeah.
We got to come up with a cool way to say that.
We're want to say welcome to Katie. She's checking in, and she said, "Yeah, I got 2 woo woo
Yay!
with the Muggles. Yes, indeed. It's good to
Yes,
see you."
indeed, Katie. But you have to go there, and crack the door a little bit for the normies once in a while.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Make them think. Make them think.
but it is a fun. I mean, it's an interesting concept. I mean, I had a brother-in-law that I don't even think he was 40 yet, and he died. I'm sure he wasn't, and he um died in a plane crash. He was flying
Okay.
by himself. And he had consistently and repeatedly said, I am not going to live to be an old person. Yeah. I
Some
mean,
people know. Some people know. Some people don't. Yeah.
he either
And
knew or he manifested, one or the other. Either way, it was his choice.
well, when we manifest, we're manifesting stuff we already decided. And that's a whole long discussion that we'll get to.
Holy shit. Now I need to argue with my other self. No, this is not what I wanted.
I did not order this.
Yeah. If you wanted this so much, you come and live it.
My subscription to adulthood is going to expire sooner than I thought. I want a rebate. I want a refund. Yeah, it's harder than we thought.
I want the executive suite. That's what. Room service.
Oh, I did not ask for the bunkers. I want my executive suite.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure. So,
yeah, so that's a whole nother discussion. I'm going to make notes about. Yeah.
Absolutely. Make notes for the
when
future.
You think you got stuff sort
settled
of in your head and you're no. Who moved the furniture?
Yeah. Right when you think you got the game figured out, they move the finish line. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Every time when they change the rules, that's another
move your cheese.
For it. They move the cheese. Yeah, we know this. Absolutely. We're lucky that they keep moving the cheese.
That's true.
Because we get bored. So coming back to where we were, how is it? Which one do you want to talk about first? How is it that you can have a choice about when or how you die, or do you want to talk about 7 choices?
Look, just do the 7 choices since that kind of came up with that comment while we're on it. So
okay,
yeah.
The theory is, and once in a while I try to see how I can get it to play out in day-to-day life when I run into it, and it generally works. The theory is in every single situation of a decision that you come into in life, you actually have 7 options, even when it looks like there's only 2 or 1. This is because if you understand the concept of brainstorming, to come up with all possibilities, even the ones that sound preposterous, ridiculous, or unlikely, write down all the solutions, and then eliminate the ones that are the most impractical until you come up with the 1 or 2 that are going to fit your needs. And that's the basic structure of a brainstorming session. Well, this is a derivation of that. So let's use a scenario of somebody holds a gun to your head. Is that what it was? Okay. If somebody holds a gun to your head, you have 2 choices are obvious and says, give me your money. Two choices are obvious. Give him your money or let him shoot you. There are other choices. And you can help me. Got to go 5 more. So Iris, help me. Another one is you can rely on your self-defense skills and disarm him. Another one is you don't give him your duck is another one. So now we're up to 4. Another one that self-defense people promote all the time is don't give them your wallet or purse. Throw it far as you can away from your escape route. Throw it in the opposite direction of your escape route, and in theory, they will go after the wallet, and you can run in the opposite direction. Because typically a mugging situation like that, they really don't want to kill anybody. They're trying to intimidate you to get your money. They really just want things of value. So they will go where that is. They're not interested in killing you. They want money. And so that's number 5. You don't have to give it to them, but you can throw it and make them go get it. Another one that I thought of, a supernatural entity like Spider-Man, Superman, an E.T., a guardian angel of some sort can come down out of the skies or drift in through the ethers and come in from another dimension and save your butt. Supernatural interference, a divine intervention. Let's call it that. A divine intervention can come. Another scenario is that a regular human, a police person, a person of authority can identify what's going on and intervene. That's another one. You can keep going. The person holding the gun can drop dead of a stroke or a heart attack, and nothing happens.
I've often wondered what would happen if you just said, I love you.
People have tried that, and it works about half the time. I love you. Go to complete compassion and see what happens. Um, sometimes the person drops the gun and starts crying. Other times they say, "What the hell is wrong with you? Give me your gun," and they ignore it. So it just depends. But you can do that. That is a choice. You can still try it.
I got two quick stories.
And
One,
we got 9.
yeah. So that's a good example. But I was thinking about the "I love you" thing. When I was a teenager, I had my own my own phone line in my room because
Yeah,
mom and dad didn't want,
the
it
phone
was
line
like,
tied up. Yeah,
yeah. And evidently, the phone rang while I was asleep, and I answered it in my sleep because I woke up talking to somebody. And what woke me up, was it was a man's voice, and he said, "I love you," and I said, "I love you too." And then he goes, "You do?" And I went, "Wait, who is this? This isn't my boyfriend."
nope.
And I'm like, "Oh fuck." But it was the fact that he questioned it that I would have kept going if he hadn't questioned me.
Questioned it.
They kind of went, "Oh, who am I talking to?"
I wonder if he had a wrong number or if he was just being a creeper.
I have no clue.
Yeah. We didn't
But
ask. Yeah.
yeah, I didn't go that far. But then my parents um had a home invasion where dad thought I was living next door at the time, and it was on Valentine's Day.
Hmm.
And the day before is my son's birthday.
Okay.
And I had offered to bring some cake over to them. We had some leftover cake.
Yeah.
And they had said no. But about an hour later, there was a knock on the door, and dad thought it was me. Oh, she's decided to bring it over anyway. And so he just opened the door, and these two guys had the screen door open and just pushed their way in,
Right.
knocked my dad down, and then they were dragging mom around the house, and they kept asking, "Where's the safe? Where's the safe?" And but at one point when they first came in, they had knocked my dad down, and mom had learned from there was this a little Asian woman that worked with her that was like a black belt in karate,
Oh,
and
good.
she had given mom some tips, and she said, if somebody's right behind you, you can bend down and grab their ankles and pull them.
Yeah.
So mom, this guy was standing right behind her while they were looking at dad on the floor, and the other guy was standing opposite him. And mom reaches down between her legs and she goes for his ankles, and he's wearing parachute pants. So she's like grabbing all this fabric.
Didn't quite get the concept, did she?
And the guy goes, "What's this bitch doing?" And the other guy pulls a gun out. So that's when mom says, "Okay," and yeah, okay.
She acquiesced, right?
Yeah. So they're
I've
dragging
got
him.
an image. It's a little
She's like,
over
"I
scrumping
can't
like,
find his ankles."
where's she goddamn skinny ankles? Dark humor gets me every time. I apologize.
And then they're walking around, and the guy's going, "Where's the safe? Where's the safe?" And mom goes, "Do we look like a damn bank to you? We don't have a safe."
She was talking their language. Why not? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
they're going to hear her better. Yeah.
She was so angry.
They
And
must have followed him from work and thought he had a deposit.
no, what they thought was mom and dad lived in one of the better houses in the neighborhood.
Oh, so they thought that came with it.
And these guys, it turned out, one of them's grandmother lived around the corner from my mom.
So they were cased
And there
out
had
by
been
a
a
neighbor.
series of robberies in the area where they would somebody would pull in like from the grocery store or pull into their house driveway, and
Yeah.
they would come up right behind them and rob them in their driveway.
Right.
With mom and dad, they kind of knew their habits and just came
Got
when
them
they
alone.
were, yeah.
Yeah.
And But they were lucky. The police were very attentive and they got one thumbprint and they were able to connect it to those two guys and arrested them. And they both got like 25 years in prison because with the other robberies, they
The series
consolidated
of
all, but
robberies.
the
Yeah.
break in, the home invasion, that was
that's
a
a
big
felony.
deal.
Yeah, that's life-threatening.
Yeah, and so in fact, I'm on the notice. The state sends me notifications when they're getting out, and I think one got out last, because it's like a little less than 20 years that they've served, but one got out last year, and one's getting out in a couple of months, but it's like I'm keeping an eye on you. Not that anybody's at the house anymore. Not that they know
you
who
guys
I
don't
am
live
from
there anymore.
Jack. Yeah, but
and
yeah,
they're old now. They don't care.
yeah, but
But your mom made a choice.
yeah.
Like the Chihuahua, go for the ankles.
I think she finally got him, but then
she cussed right back at him. Go, girl.
I ain't taking your shit. I don't care that you're holding a gun to my head. I ain't taking your shit.
She's gonna, if we're gonna go down, I'm gonna go down cussing.
And they were looking for drug money. That's all they wanted.
Yeah. Did your dad just basically stay down, or did it knock him out?
Oh yeah, I mean Dad was extremely frail.
So he just stayed down.
And they knocked the wind out of him basically because they have a sunken living room or had a sunken living room.
So he fell far.
He fell into the living room and was on the ground, and he was pretty bruised up. Mom had bruises all over her arms where he had
grabbed her. Yeah.
You can see the handprints, and it was like, oh.
No wonder she was furious. Yeah. But they chose not to die that day.
They did.
They chose not to die. So one of the theories that we were talking about is that also, that tied into precipitating this show was that you have choices about when and where you die. And that's what we were going to talk a little bit more about. And in the belief system that I understand, and my understanding comes from having hundreds, if not a couple of thousand conversations with deceased people, as well as people who have died and come back to life, and they have talked to me. I've talked to them person to person in this dimension.
And I think we should clarify those are like the what would commonly be called NDEs or near-death experiences, where yes, they were technically dead, but they came back.
Yeah, but for some reason miraculously they came back to life. And every single one of them had the information that, and I made up a phrase to make it more clear, that before we were born, when we are mapping out our major goals, major challenges, events, things we want to learn, things we want to accomplish in this lifetime, one of the things we map out is at least 3, what I call death gates. And they are at least 3, let's just say 3 for conversation. They are 3 opportunities that you designated to happen in your life. And when they occur at the first death gate, you can choose to stay and stay alive, or go and start the death cycle and do whatever comes next in the afterlife. If you decide to stay, you can keep living and doing your thing, and a second death gate will happen, which you also chose, you also designed, and you can choose to stay or go. The third one, or the fourth one, or the fifth one, or however many death gates you chose. All right, some people chose 7 or 8 or 9 or 10, and I'm pretty certain that choosing a lot is probably not advised, because then that means you're choosing life or death every year or two in your life. So no, you don't need dozens and dozens of death gates, because then you're constantly almost dying all the time. You only need a few. So anyway, you get to the last one. Let's say 3 for right now. You get to the third death gate, the choice stops. The choice has already happened. You chose the other 2 times, and you chose for this one to be finito, the end, basta ya, which means that's enough. And you're done. Adios, arrivederci, all that good stuff, you're done. And the third one, you're out, you die. Some interesting stories that I've heard over the year that, like, what have I heard in a normie sense, in a muggle sense, that would go towards substantiation of this theory. And I remembered a story from, which I remembered to be about 25 years ago, and I looked it up to make sure that it was true. In November of 1995, a 2-time Olympic ice skater champion, Olympic gold, two golds from Russia. His name was Sergei Grinkov, Grinkov. Sergei Grinkov was 28 years old. He was pair skating, practicing in Lake Placid for the Olympics, eventually with his wife, who was his professional skate partner too. And during practice, they were just doing their thing, and he suddenly just dropped on the ice, just flat. And people rushed out to him, and the EMTs rushed out to him, and he did not revive. He would not revive. They could not bring him back, not even for a few seconds. He had a heart attack and dropped on the ice and never came back. A perfectly healthy 28-year-old professional athlete, Olympian, died. 28. Something's up. Looking him up, I found another one. Professional ice skater, whatever. Chris Reed was his name. Age 30, dropped on the ice of a heart attack. He represented Japan in March of 2020. Same thing, dropped, could not come back. Did not come back.
Did they put him as COVID?
You notice? And you notice? Yes, indeed. I don't know, but I bet they did. That's very, very likely.
Get those dollars, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Get those 35, 15, 50,000 bucks for it. So anyway, for Medicare and Medicaid. And this theory seems to have carried out so far, because I've met people that have had near-death experiences. They didn't die, but they were close to it. And they realized while they were in limbo that they had a choice. You and I have a mutual friend that she's told you her story, Kim McAllister.
She's been on this show.
And she has been on this show talking about angels. She choked at a restaurant on a piece of food with her parents and her husband and her children all sitting around the same restaurant table. And she choked on a piece of food, and nobody knew enough Heimlich maneuver to help her.
Well, they weren't even aware she was choking at the time.
And she,
it happened. It happened very fast. Yeah, it happened very fast on their time. But she said it was like a screen dropped, and she could still see him, but she was aware she wasn't on the same.
She was leaving.
Yeah, and it was like, we can take you now if you want. And she's like, well, yeah, this feels so good, but she said she's like, but this is Mom and Dad's favorite restaurant, and the kids are so young. I can't die here. They never be able to
I don't want to ruin my parents' favorite restaurant.
And so they said, okay, whoop, and everything was fine. And then she coughed, and it came out, and her mom kind of looked at her and said, are you all right? And she said, what do you mean? I just about died, didn't you? And no, you didn't. You were just saying something, and then you weren't. And it was a split second
to them. Yeah, she bent the time. I asked her one time, I said, when you were making that decision, what did you think of first? That it was your parents' favorite restaurant, or that you had 3 children and a husband that also needed you? Which one occurred to you first? And she giggled and said, the restaurant thing. And I said, oh my God, that just tells you how much she adores her parents.
Yeah.
She said, I really didn't want to ruin. I was like, nah, that's too funny. But yeah, that's just one example that we know of. That yeah, a choice does come to mind. And then there's other, and they even use it in Hollywood plots and movie plots. People die and they go see their, you know, Morgan Freeman comes out of the mist, or their grandmother, or somebody, Jesus, somebody cool like that. Sasquatch comes out of the mist and says, we love you, dude. You're really cool, but you have to go back. Um, this is just an experience. We'll catch you later, but not this time. You have to go back. And people have made whole movies. Heaven Can Wait was a really cool movie they did back in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And All of Me, Steve Martin, Lily Tomlin. Iris, you thought of another movie about that where people tried to come back and something went wrong, and it's almost always a comedy or romantic comedy situation. But in some of these situations, when they try to come back, their body is not capable, is too damaged. And
Yeah.
so comedy ensues as the soul and or slash consciousness. It's the same thing. Your soul and your consciousness are the same thing. Tries to find another body because it can't go. It's in liminal space, which is actually an intensely and highly sacred space that you do want to be in, that you are in when you meditate or in theta brainwave.
Oh.
Yeah, that's all liminal space, sacred brain space. It's a certain wavelength of brain activity that you do when you wait. That's a whole nother discussion. But anyway, ADD kicking in here. So this brain, this consciousness, this awareness is trying to find another host to live in. So there are people who, well, heck, we can go down this rabbit hole a little bit, depending on how much you know about clones and how they keep a nefarious, let's say, clone, an illegal clone, um, a government sanctioned clone alive and in the awareness of the original. It has to do with technology that captures your soul slash consciousness as it comes out of your original body, and they use that technology to place it back into the clone slash host that they want it to go into. And yes, I'm saying that they can capture a soul. And I have defined that before. If you are a free soul versus a captured soul, what happens on the other side is dictated by that choice.
But what
You get to choose that too.
do
Yeah.
you get to choose whether you're captured or
Yes,
free?
you get to choose whether or not you want to go through a series of existences that involve being a captured soul. Um, or you can choose not to. You can choose never to be a captured soul, or just once or twice or whatever. But that's a choice as well. Some souls need help getting out of that captured cycle, which there's tons of technology to help you do that too. It's not a dead end. It's just another choice. Oh God, that was thank you.
You're so punny.
So that's but the three death gates. Some people have 4, some people have 5, some people have 7. That 3 death gates has been a consistent pattern that I've heard and seen many times across my five plus decades. So, Iris, what about you? It's I know it's a part of your speech in your presentation about people have choices.
Yeah.
What are some other anecdotal or factual information that has come out of that teaching for you?
I got so into what you were saying, my mind totally went went off grid. Um,
That's okay. Well, Katie, if you have some comments or questions, now's a good time to type them in there. And if anybody
yes,
else is listening, yeah, feel free to ask what if and how about. And I heard that and anything like that. Feel free to throw it in the comments. We'd love to have you play along.
well, and I think that's a part of my thing with death is, and that I sometimes wish other people would recognize, is that with the choices
Yeah.
and with the things that go on, like we know that women who miscarry, I mean,
Yeah.
while they're grieving this potential life,
Yeah.
it's nothing that they did,
That's right.
but it can be a soul that has
Made a
just wanted,
choice.
you made a choice. They just wanted to experience being in the womb and didn't want to experience real life, or they wanted, they got there and went, whoops, nope, not yet.
Oh, no,
And
it's more like, oh, hell no.
yeah,
I seen what y'all do to each other. Mm-mm.
and another possibility is that for whatever reason, the mom had set up that experience for herself, and this soul was helping her achieve. Maybe she wanted to understand what's it like to lose a child, but she didn't want to make something living go away. All this
Right.
being planned ahead of time.
I want to
And
experience pregnancy, but not motherhood. Great. I want to experience fetus being a fetus, but not a baby. Let's you and me talk. Let's you and me work together. And they
yeah,
do. And they do. Yeah.
and I think when you can expand that recognition
Hmm.
to understand that it's not cut and dry, and it's not a failure as
Not
a
at all.
woman or whatever. You
It's not a personal or biological or medical failure. It's just another life cycle that's a whole lot shorter than expected.
Yeah, yeah.
But
uh,
if you big picture, don't other people always make choices that you didn't expect them to make? People make effed up, weird, strange, unacceptable to you, but acceptable to them choices all the time, everywhere in life. I would never wear that sweater. I would never go out with that dude. I would never choose to live in that neighborhood.
and the other
Da da
thing
da da
is,
da da da
never
da.
say never, because you don't know with those same circumstances what you
What
would
you would
choose.
do? Yeah.
I just want to
Um,
acknowledge Katie had said yes. So far, I'm on board with you. So thank you, Katie. Um,
Absolutely.
but well, and it's interesting because
Fetuses make choices before they're born. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
there was a man that was a dear friend. I thought highly of him, and he was well known in the community. And he was in hospice and in a coma.
Yeah.
They knew, and he had been battling cancer for almost 20 years. So God, I gotta take that word out of my mouth. I'm always telling people, don't say you're battling cancer. You're not fighting anything,
You're
because
experiencing cancer.
you're experiencing it.
Yeah.
And yeah, because if you say you're fighting it, guess
That's a
what?
negativity.
Well, and it's gonna say, oh, you want to fight with
You
me?
want me to push
Okay.
back. Fight means you expect me to push back. Yeah.
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 And so you're, yeah, okay. So
You know,
and
yeah.
that gets into manifesting and all that. All right, but
Yeah.
this guy,
Was experiencing cancer.
yeah, and I went by hospice just to say hello to him. Huh?
I'm talking to Katie.
Oh, okay. Oh, wait a minute.
She
Okay.
said these comments take a long time for you to see, and I just sign language. We know.
Oh yeah,
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 we know.
yeah. Okay. So we'll come back. We'll come back to her comments in a second. Finish my thought before I forget. um, but I went by hospice to see him, but of course he wasn't capable. But I talked with his wife a few minutes and saw
Yeah.
his mother, and and then I left, and I came home, and was meditating and went
Oh,
to see him, or called him,
sure.
and he showed up and was in perfect health. He had been a fight choreographer
Mm,
and loved doing sword fights and stuff.
yeah.
And he even had, I found pictures later of the same
A
outfit
combat
that,
choreographer. Yeah.
yeah, that he
Yeah.
he was wearing this outfit with the that looked like D'Artagnan or something, with the feather in the hat kind of thing, and the
All
red
right.
red vest and white fluffy shirt. And
Oh.
and he was moving freely and all that. And I said,
Oh.
"You look so happy." And he said, and he started talking with a French accent. He goes, "But of course." And he says, and he had this mustache and he kind of twirled it. And he says, "I look wicked, don't I?" and I said, "Well, it's wonderful, and I'm so glad that you know
Yeah.
you're in
Happy.
good, yeah, you're happy and all that." I said, and I kind of pointed, because from our vantage point, we could, the way I had it set up, we could see him in bed in the hospice. And I
Oh,
said, "But what about them?" And I don't know why I asked. It just kind of came out. I said, "What
that's what
about
came
them?"
to you. Yeah.
And he said, he looked and he goes, "It is what it is. They'll be fine. I'm ready to go."
Mhm.
And about 2 days later, he died,
Dying
officially.
people are real clear that your journey, my journey, two separate things. They're very clear about that. Once
Yeah.
they get to that point,
Yeah.
not everybody, but once you get to that point, that's what I've noticed. That's when people tend to jump off when they
I told
realize not
my
my journey.
mother told my
Yeah,
grandfather when she thought he was about ready to go, and he'd just been real quiet for a long time.
tell that story.
Yeah, she said, she was sitting there. He'd been out of it for a while, and she was sitting because he was at their home and
Yeah,
hospice was coming in. But mom said, she reached out real gentle, kind of patted him, and she said, "Daddy, if you want to go, you can go. I'll be fine." And all of a sudden, his eyes popped up, and he looked at her and he goes, "Where the hell would I go?" And never mind.
I ain't getting out of bed. Where would I go?
Katie says she's done a reading with an unborn child, both choice by parents and the soul. The child's soul knew she would never be born, yet she was around in spirit form. And these comments, yeah, and the
These
comments are
comments
taking a
take a
long time to
long time to
show up.
show up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, women that have had miscarriages or abortions have come to me too for, yeah, same thing for readings. I want to hear if my child will forgive me is almost always what they're looking for. And every single time the child comes through and goes, "Oh, honey, this has nothing to do with you. Yes, I still love you. Everything's good. I'm not hurt. I wish you weren't hurt. I wish you would choose not to be hurt.
You have a choice.
You have a choice. I give you social permission. I'm good. I didn't want the full ride. I only wanted just a little bit. Thank you. Thank you for going down that painful road for me, for us, for yourself. You are absolved. And it's awesome the shift that happens after that. But yeah,
Well, and think about
absolutely.
it.
Babies know what's going on. Yeah.
Who tells us that we have to be sad? Why? I mean, we're guilted into being sad. "Oh, they died. Of course you're mourning." Yeah. And it's like, yes, we could, we're saddened, and there's a loss because we don't have that
Yeah,
immediate.
yes, yes, you experience a change of future dreams and plans. Thus another reason to stay in this moment, not the past or the future. Yeah, because dreams and plans can change.
Katie says that was my first real experience with understanding the choices of soul before incarnation. Yeah,
So
yeah.
that child's journey had even another purpose, not just her mom and dad, but you. It opened another door of information and realization for you, which means you got to open doors for even more people in the future. So this child was a catalyst for lots of things, not just herself and her
A
family.
huge teacher all the way
Yeah,
across.
a
Yeah.
teaching moment all the way across. Absolutely. So, Iris, you brought up during the pre-show conversation, you brought up that the guy that asked you, you said, "Is there a situation where you don't have a choice?" And the guy said, "What about death?" And you said you have a choice then. And somebody came up with the counterpoint of, "What if you think that it's fate? What if you think death is a fate
Oh yeah. Well,
is
yeah, and
is fate only?"
it's you're fated to die. But what is fate? Because then you think, oh, well, then I don't have free will. If I don't have, if fate decides everything, I don't have a choice. Well, guess what? You did have a choice. You just didn't make it consciously
Then, right?
right then at that moment.
Yeah.
Um, and so and it really does well. And here we go. You did make it at that moment because everything's happening at once. That'll stretch your brain big.
Yeah, time doesn't really exist. You do everything simultaneously. So yes, you're absolutely right, Irish. We didn't even think of that in the pre-show. That's excellent call. It's all simultaneously and instantaneous. So
Woo!
yeah, and then let's say you believe in that fate stuff. Obviously, we don't. We believe in free will choices. But let's say you do believe in that fate stuff. Who decides the fates? We're not Greek, so we know it's not the three sisters pulling
Oh,
threads. Who are they?
I don't know.
I think
I'm not real
Shakespeare wrote
familiar.
about them. That there's
Oh,
the three fates, or no, that might be someone. But
the
anyway,
four horsemen.
and when your time is done, they snip the thread and your life is over. And so yeah, that's what I should have looked it up. So, but it's a Greek thing. Coming back,
I've heard the story is kind of coming in. I don't know if it's
yeah.
because
In the
new.
Hercules cartoon, they're
Yeah.
in there. They have one eyeball that they share, and they're funny as all. They're comic relief in that movie. It's a
That's
cartoon.
a weird comic relief of one eyeball being.
The 1990s Hercules cartoon movie has a lot of what the hell was that about comments in it that go right by. Let me give you an insight. The bad guy is played by James Wood. Hades, Satan, is played by James Wood, and he is hysterically funny. His hair is all blue flame, and at one point his hair goes out, and he freaks out. It's funny. And his two main minions, one of them is Bobcat Goldthwait.
Oh wow!
And this is a cartoon.
What are we gonna do?
Yes, your lugubrious Miss Ness. Goldthwait does a great job. So anyway, the fates. Who decides fate? If you're not doing the silly Greek thing that we're making fun of, let's say you're doing a modern Christian interpretation of fate. Ours, who decides, chooses fate?
If you're talking the mono-Christian type thing, it would. It's God. God's
It's
decided.
God. So who's God?
Whee!
Those of you that know me and Iris, you know who we think God is.
We are all one. Yeah.
We'll give you a hint. Iris, point at your God. All right.
You know what's funny though is because you have the monotheists that believe that their God is this higher power and he'll strike you with lightning bolts and whatever, but then they'll turn around and talk about how your body is a sanctuary and how temple of God and all that stuff. Hello, you can't have it, but you can't have an external all-seeing, all-knowing and
a sacred
believe that God is within.
Mm-hmm. If you're a child of God, how are you an imperfect sinner? If God designed you and then punishes you for sins that you committed that he designed.
That is a totally talk about
Doon,
putting the fun
doon,
in
doon, doon,
dysfunctional.
doon, doon. Yes. It's those chains of logic that you end up with former Catholics, former Protestants, former Christians.
I've got people that talk about being recovering Catholics.
Recovering Catholics, that's another word for it. Absolutely. So Katie had a thread of a couple of cool comments. And tend to feel bad as it, understanding the choices of the soul before incarnation. And tend to feel bad that I don't cry at funerals, and it's like, it's like I'm supposed to.
Yeah, exactly. I tend to feel bad that I don't cry, and it's like I'm supposed to.
I'm supposed
Right?
to,
Yeah.
right. Like you're supposed to cry, and you're not. That's actually, it's the Irish have it right. It's a celebration. It's a wake. It's a transition. Fate is nothing more than your own soul making
choices. The human self just wasn't informed consciously. Yeah.
Which is changing, which is a whole nother show. People are more and more conscious of the choices they made prior to being born. They're remembering whole lifetimes. Go on Gaia.com. There's a series by Stefano. What's his first name? Can't remember. He remembers past lives, and he does a series of teachings on them: Pleiadians, Atlanteans, Lemurians, because he came to this life with teachings from those lives. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you had
typos are okay, Katie. We
That's
read
right,
them
don't
because
worry.
of we figured it out, and we read them just so it makes it into our audio. So
If somebody wants to see what we're babbling about, they can switch over to YouTube and see the visual.
Yeah. It was a typo, and Katie's apologizing for it. It's okay.
We do speakos.
Yeah, all the time.
Oh, we do tacos.
That
I'm
sounds
too
like a
close to a
cereal.
taco. Yeah, sounds like I almost like I was a talking taco. I don't know, it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I'm hungry. Can you tell?
Yeah.
Mateus De Stefano. Woo-hoo. She's working on season 31. Yeah, she knows who I'm talking about. Cute little, good looking. Ooh, wow. Microphone made a new noise. So, can y'all hear
You're
that?
not gonna.
Okay. It's got a weird echo in it. It's like a gong. It made a gong noise when I tapped on my computer. Sorry, learning the new microphone. Mateus De Stefano, yes, on Gaia.com. Go check it out. If you're interested in people who remember past lives, he talks about where he's been and why he remembers and what he remembers. And he's been sent on a sacred mission to help save the earth in its spiritual aspect and its spiritual shift. And he has world travels for it. English is his second language, as you can tell. Mateus De Stefano. Matthew, his in English, his name would be Matthew Stevens. Okay, but it's either Italian or Spanish. I'm pretty sure it's Italian. Mateus De Stefano. I'm not sure.
A Latin name, anyway.
It's a Latino name. Yes. So keep going. So
yeah, and just for for a little bit of humor, I'll throw this up while
please.
we're
I love the stuff you find. Give them tell them who this guy is.
Okay, this is Eddie Izzard. He's been in movies and TV and stuff like that, but he's also transvestite, and he did this, and he might be transsexual now. I'm not positive. There was some stuff that came out, but
there's some press about it.
Yeah, but he is he did a HBO special called Dress to Kill, and it won quite a few awards, and the whole thing is hysterical, and he really talks about the history and origins of different things, talks about uh like London's thing about going, conquering different countries, and um it's fascinating because you learn a lot of history with him. But this particular episode, he was talking about giving people choices, and I thought this was funny. And so here we go.
You know, because cake or death, that's a pretty easy question. Anyone can answer that. Cake or death? Cake, please. Very well. Give him cake. Oh, thanks very much. Very nice. You, cake or death? Cake for me too, please. Very well. Give him cake too. We're gonna run out of cake at this rate. You, cake or death? Death, please. No, cake, sorry, cake. You said death first? Death first. No, I meant cake. Oh, all right. You're lucky I'm Church of England. Cake or death? Cake, please. Well, we're out of cake. We only had 3 bits and we didn't expect such a rush.
So, yeah,
I love Eddie Izzard. He's going to star in a blockbuster movie this winter, and I cannot remember what the name of it is. Let's see. Well, Katie tells us that Mateus is an Argentinian, so he's speaking Espanol. So very cool, or maybe Brazilian. I don't know. But I think Argentinians speak Spanish.
People from Argentina speak
They
Spanish.
might speak. Sometimes they might. Portuguese is an option in some of those countries too. So, but it's definitely Latin. But Eddie Izzard is starring in a blockbuster movie. Hadn't had a chance. I've only seen one commercial for it, and it's like a sci-fi something or other. Yes, Iris, queen of the keyboard.
You can hear me in there. Sorry about that.
Your lightning fingers.
I was going to see if I could figure it out.
Does it show on the internet?
He was in Ocean's 13, I think, and
no, this has not come out yet. There was a commercial for it coming up.
Rock Dog 3, Battle the Beat, Man and Witch. He's a sheep voice, so that must not be. Stay Close. Oh no, that's not it. No, the ones that he's a voiceover.
This is actually him, and they showed him in a costume, all dressed live action as an actor. He has done voices for a lot of cartoons, and God, is he funny.
But Rock Dog 3 Battle the Beat is a voice role, so that can't be it.
And
I don't know.
It might be. Oh, it looks okay. It says Eddie Izzard is trending on Netflix. I wonder if it's a Netflix blockbuster that's coming.
Yeah, but it would still be. Anyway, I'm not going to spend a lot of time digging on that.
Maybe something. 6 Minutes to Midnight. No, yeah. March 24th, 2021. The film takes place in southeast England's scenic Bexhill on the Sea, the hometown of star Eddie Izzard, whose fascination with a long-standing local finishing school led her to co-write blah, 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 blah. Upcoming movies. Oh, get the list of Eddie's upcoming movies for 20 and 21. Check out the release dates. That's on filmibeat.com. And it says no upcoming movies. All right, so, shoot, Iris, Parallel Dimensions. It came up for like about a 10-second commercial spot. Now it's gone, and now I can't find it anywhere. Oh,
yes.
Multiple dimensions are showing up and crossing up, and stuff exists. Yeah, there you go. Ta-da! Things exist for just a few seconds or a few minutes, and
I was trying to figure out if you're talking about a movie or.
No. Okay, bring you back to this dimension.
Yeah.
My husband had a weird one yesterday. In the shower, the water handle starts, cold, and you turn it up and it warmer, hot, and it's that way. Well, he knows. He gets into the shower and it starts, and it's that way. He got into the shower and it was this way, and it was cold. In other words, it had the cold and hot had reversed. The handle had reversed, yeah. handle had, in that universe, it was, handle was to the left, and in this universe, the handle was to the right.
Wow.
Before you got in the shower. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, that's weird. And since we never took a picture of our showers, God knows why, but we have
Saying,
no
is it
proof.
stayed that way? I
Yeah.
mean,
But we have no proof of that it was ever any other way, because people typically don't take pictures of their shower handles.
yeah.
But keys disappearing and coming back, rings. A ring fell off my friend's, it didn't fall, came off my friend's hand, fell through the restaurant table that we were at, and it landed on the floor. Okay, it was a gigantic table. She was all the way up against it. She had her hands on the table, and we suddenly heard ting, 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 ting. And we were like, what was that? It was under the table, whatever it was. And she went looking, and she said, oh my God. And she said, this ring that I never take off. Y'all saw me. My hands never left the top of the table. And suddenly it went ding, ding, ding. And it was down there on the floor. It was weird. It was Amy.
Oh, wow.
It was Amy. So, that was another good example of dimensions crossing into each other. I'm assuming we need to do a show about those.
Yeah.
Because there's lots of movies that talk about that too, multiple dimensions. What's that movie that Tom Cruise died over and over?
Oh, the Vanilla Sky.
Was that it? Emily Blunt or something was the lady that was with him, coaching him through it. He was a military guy.
Oh no, maybe that was a different one.
It's another one that's multiple dimensions that people don't think about it that way, but it actually is. Robin Williams, What Dreams May Come. That's actually about multiple dimensional living and experiencing multiple dimensions of existence. We just characterize it as heaven and hell and afterlife and life and so on.
One I mention all the time, just because a lot of people hadn't heard of it, is Another Earth.
That's a good one too. That's a really good one.
And it's not something that circulates on the different platforms.
And as accurate as it is, I wonder why.
Ah.
Go look up Another Earth, guys, if you haven't seen that movie. It's fascinating. Yeah.
And
thank you.
There's been some really good stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we have rolled up to 10:35 p.m.
It's about time it is time for us to wrap it up.
Yes, it is.
Just want to give Janet one more holler. She's doing monthly, or for now monthly. I'm trying to find the events, and you can set up with different people and set appointments and have classes or sessions or whatever with them. And it's at Broadway at the Beach down in Myrtle Beach. And it's coming up November 6th. And you can look at her Facebook page, Dreams. Isn't that her website too?
I believe so.
It has the this, or if anybody's interested and wants to email me, iris@iriscarter.com, and just say, hey, I want Janet's program. I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
And then just want to mention my book is tis the season, so to speak. And I actually, if you can bear with me for just a second, I want to show a quick, whoops, wait a minute, stop that. All right. And let me pull this up. I'll just pull this up for entertainment. Share the audio and that one, and share, and
Español. Gracias, Kiefer. Su nombre en español, Kiefer.
Okay, so just quick here. It says sometimes houses settle, creak, and pop. causes fence to rattle. Wind stirs tree branches that knock on the walls. Sometimes it's something else. Shed some light on the matter. Available on Amazon.com is The Care and Feeding of Ghosts and the Children Who See Them. So,
Care and Feeding of Ghosts and the Children Who See Them. There's also Iris writes great advice for adults in there.
I tried I presented it as my kids seeing ghosts, what do I do? But it's intended really for all
both
ages.
Yeah.
And to analyze those situations, and it's not, by no means am I saying everything somebody experiences. That's driving me crazy, and that might be something we can talk about on the show. I've joined some paranormal lists, and people are like throwing things up and going, I was taking a video and look at this. Tell me what you see in about 20 seconds. And I'm looking, I'm going, it's a leaf falling from a tree, or debris, like a little speck that just.
It's a wasp out of focus walking across the screen on the window.
Yeah. But they're like, and then people, no, I see faces. I can tell. No. Yeah. Pareidolia, folks, it just drives me crazy. It's like everybody, the chances of catching something on camera and on film is, and actually it's easier to catch on film than it is on digital. But
the vibration is different. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like, give up the ghost, folks,
Very funny. Very good. Very good.
But
so what are we talking about next week? We came up with a checklist. What did you designate for next week? We came up with about 4 or 5 ideas to carry us through the next few weeks. Yes. Obviously, there's a theme with it being October.
Yes, and
the time of the light is disappearing outside. The veil is getting thinner. People are already getting much more intuitive. Traditionally, during this time of the year, people are even more intuitive. Thank God. Wisdom goes up. So we have related topics.
Talking about death and dying in general. Let's see. Echoes? No.
Yeah. What's
Parallel Timelines was one of them.
Yeah.
The other notes I have, it was the death gates and all that stuff that we've
covered today.
Yeah, thinning of the veil. Euthanasia.
Chinese teenagers.
Yeah.
That's true. Shall we talk about euthanasia next week?
We could.
Pros and cons and related stories, and people can comment and tell us their experiences if they wish.
Yeah.
As well.
What's so wrong with it, and why do we judge it?
Why, where the stigma coming from, and what is the new thought about allowing people to pass,
and why? And again, why? Maybe in the grief process too.
That's true.
Because people get their panties in a twist if somebody wants to die. No, they can't die. Well, do you want them? Maybe they're going, what are your options?
Let's talk about that next week. For sure. For sure. For sure. We can make all kinds of cool faces.
We're getting ready for Halloween. Yeah. Oh my God, yeah. The possibilities are infinite. Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
Everybody.
Thank you to our listeners and watchers. Thank you. Have a beautiful evening. And namaste.
We'll see you same bat time, same bat channel next week. Thank you for joining The Eyes of Indigo with Iris Carter and Margot Ross Sears. Music is Arcadia by Kevin MacLeod of Incomptech.com. licensed under Creative Commons. Visit our Facebook page for broadcast details, www.facebook.com/EyesOfIndigo. Show is copyrighted 2021 by Iris Carter and Margot Ross Sears, all rights reserved.